Hi guys, welcome back or welcome if you're new. My name is Tiana and I'm the maker behind Also Stitch, and today we are having a wrap up of December or everything that I did during Vlogmas. So no, this is not a Vlogmas video, this is just a bonus video that I decided I'm gonna publish on Christmas. So before everything, I wish you Merry Christmas and all the best. I hope you are having a wonderful time with your family, and I'm just gonna show you all the Pokemon that I did during the Vlogmas. I tried to make one Pokemon a day. I kind of stick to the schedule. I think I've counted, I have 17 of the mini ones and 3 of the big ones, which means I did 20, so I'm only missing 4. But if you have watched this Vlogmas, then you know that I have been offline for tomorrow. It's gonna be 3 weeks. So yes, I did this whole Vlogmas without internet on my mobile data, and it was a struggle, but I managed and I'm not complaining. We are fine. We will be getting internet very soon. All is sorted. I also have a bonus Pokemon that I will reveal in the end. It is amazing, so stay tuned for that. Let's start with Handmade Studio Pokemons. I did 17 of them. I did explain during the Vlogmas couple of them why I didn't make. It was my yarn choice. I made all my Pokemons out of Elise Velluto, and Elise Velluto is not the best yarn to crochet flat because you have to weave in your ends and they need to stay woven in, which with Elise Velluto it's not possible. And it's not even easy to burn Elise Velluto because it's a blanket yarn. I do burn chenille yarn. Chenille yarn has no issue with burning ends, but for blanket yarn and Elise Velluto, which is actually a blanket yarn, it's just not an easy fix and it doesn't look right. So there were a couple of Pokemons that I didn't make. So first I will show you all the 17 Pokemons from Handmade Studio that I did make. So I do have them all in a box. It's quite a lot of them and I'm really happy. They're all one-offs, but that's what I usually do for my business. I'm not someone who likes to batch make or have multiples. It's just too boring for me and I just prefer it like that. So let's start with the Pokeball. That was a bonus thing I did. So Pokeball is an excellent make. I have nothing against, first of all, I want to say I have nothing against any of the patterns that I make. All the Handmade Studio patterns are very well written, market prep friendly and quick makes. Most of these took me around half an hour to make, so that's amazing. But my problem was Elise Velluto, and that's what this ball is. Look how floppy this ball is. That's why I'm not gonna ever remake this, at least not in Elise Velluto. Unfortunately, it doesn't fit all the plushies, especially the ones that are with bigger ears or with Bulbasaur or Squirtle and things like that, but that's fine. I'm just not too fussed about it. I still like what it looks like. I like the fact that you can open it and close it. I think the pattern, I'm gonna try to remember everything about each pattern, but if you're curious more about each pattern, please go watch my Vlogmas because I talk daily about each pattern. I do think this pattern is supposed to be like 2 separate parts and I just connected them in the middle just because I prefer that. I don't want to lose parts in the transport. It's nice, it's functional, it's good, but my yarn choice wasn't the best. So that is the first thing we made. There is no particular order with these plushies. I'm just gonna pull them out of the box and talk about each one. So we have Umbreon. She is cute, easy. Anything Eevee Evolution is pretty much similar, slightly different, and they were all easy, quick makes. I really enjoyed working on Eevee Evolutions. I think Beck has individual patterns. She also has bundles, so all of these patterns are available on her Etsy shop. I will be linking everything down below, so go check her shop and decide whether you want to buy single or bundles. It's up to you, whatever you prefer. So we have Umbreon. One of the things I didn't do, she asked you to size down the hook for the ears and maybe tail, I'm not sure. I was already 3 or 4 plushies in when I realized that, and I just didn't want to change them because I wanted them to be the same size. So that's probably the reason my ears are a bit floppy and big, but I just don't mind them. They still look amazing. The next challenge is gonna be to remember all the names, so we'll see if I could remember all of them. I think this one is Jolteon, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it is. It was a bit of more work because Jolteon has a lot of surface crocheting going around, and I did make mistake in this white part around its neck, but it's not something major and it's not something that would change the way it looks like, so I'm totally fine. Then we have Snorlax. Snorlax is super cute, easy. I do see myself making more of these because Snorlax is always popular. Next we have Squirtle. Squirtle is always popular. This was super quick, beautiful make, so yeah, I do see myself making more of Squirtle. Same with Eevee. Eevee is always popular and I do see myself making more of her. Next one we have Mew. The only difference I did with the Mew, she asks you to put pipe cleaner or something like that. I did have flower wires because I do make flowers, but I didn't trust Elise Veluto and wire to not poke out, and I was scared for kids, so that's why I didn't put any wire. I was thinking of protecting the wire in acrylic yarn like I do for my flowers actually, but that was just too time consuming for this plushie, and I manipulated the shape of her tail with just sewing it at the back of her. So yeah, Mew was really quick make, and even if you don't have wire, don't be bothered about it. Next we have Togepi. He is always so cute and he's always a good seller, so yeah, one Togepi. Next we have Leafeon. Leafeon is also a very popular Pokemon, so I do see myself making more of her because it's really beautiful, and there is a tail at the back. Next we have Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur is always popular. I didn't have a third color, like a teal color for the marking, so I just went with the same color for the ball, and that's fine. He is still very cute. Next we have Pikachu. You can tell how my ears are a bit floppy. I also sew his tail at the back. I do see myself making more of Pikachu because anything Pikachu is always selling really good. Next we have Espion. She was a bit more work, but nothing that I wouldn't repeat. She had 2 parts of the tail, she has 3 parts to the ear, and she has a dot. I do see myself making Espion a bit more because she is always a good seller. Next we have Psyduck. Psyduck is actually pretty popular because there were some markets when he was requested, so I'm happy that I finally have him, and I do see myself making more of him because he was super easy and quick. I mean, any of these were super easy and quick except Glaceon. No, is this Glaceon? No, this is not Glaceon. What is his name? I think Glaceon is the one that I didn't make. Then what is this guy's name? I had to search his name because I actually forgot. So this is Vaporeon. I'll remember now. It is confusing with Glaceon because the Glaceon is the one that I didn't make because of his bangs and the color changes that I had issues with. So Vaporeon is a bit more work. I think he might be popular, so we'll see how he will sell. I do see myself remaking actually any of these, so that shouldn't be a problem. If they sell, of course I will make them. Then we have Gengar. To be honest, Gengar is the only Pokemon that I prefer in a Chokemon version. I used to make Chokemons before I decided to make this series this time, and the Gengar is the only one I prefer the way it looks in the Chokemon patterns because of the smile. He has that green smile with big teeth, and I do prefer that over the sticking tongue. But still, we'll see if this is gonna sell or do people prefer the one with the smile. Next one we have Chikorita. You see, this is the issue with Elise Veluto. It is flopping down and not standing straight, but still, she was pretty much quick make and I love her. And then we have Charmander. I did improvise the fire on his tail. I just did some chains with acrylic yarn because I couldn't be bothered to do anything else, and he still looks fine. I mean, you can always, I did that with Chokemons because you do acrylic with just tying around the end, and if you have that brush you can just brush it off so it gets like fuzzy, but I just wasn't bothered. I think he still looks pretty cute like this. And last but not least we have Sylveon, and this is the only Pokemon that I did in Modavira blanket yarn, just because with all these parts, same with Glacian, that I didn't do. I would struggle with Elise Velluto. That's why I went with Modavira blanket, and that's why she is bigger than any other. I will charge her a bit more, and yes, I do love her. She was a lot of work, but she was well worth. I do put also special eyes on her. I mean, it's nothing special, but better than just the plain black eyes. So yeah, she was a bit more work, but at the same time she is my most requested Pokemon. And that is it when it comes to Backmade Studio Pokemon. So I'm just gonna put them all back to the basket, and then we will switch to another 3 that I made. I'm just gonna try and hold them 3 together, but I don't think that's possible. The next pattern that I did was Snuggle Beans Crochet. This is her bundle with Eevee Evolution. In that bundle she has Espion, she also has Umbreon, and she has Eevee. If you have watched my Vlogmas, then you know that I was like joking and requesting it would be nice to have Sylveon in this series, because I really love this. These are by far my favorite plushies, my favorite makes. I mean, anything from Splitting series, from Shannon, from Snuggle Beans Crochet is just amazing, and I enjoy makes like this. I'm not the type of person who enjoys small market makes. I'm still making them because they do bring money, but this is something that I enjoy making, and this is just something that is fun for me. If I'm crocheting, I want to be making this size plushies and not tiny market makes. Eevee was such a beautiful make because of this fur. I do share some tips around my makes, so if you're interested in how this fur is looking better than this fur, go check out my Vlogmas videos. So you can just go and search by thumbnail photos. I usually have plushie in the photo of the day that I was making it. They're all a lot of work, but not in a bad way. I never complain when I say that plushie is a lot of work. They are, and I enjoyed making this one. I do see myself making more of these. The only problem is this brown color is my most used color from Hobby Toucan, and I'm down to 1.5 skein, and you know that Hobby is no longer shipping to Australia. So at the moment, that is the only color that I will run out very soon. So I'm on the hunt for some other yarn brands from Australia just to buy this color to match with my other Hobby Toucan yarns, because I'm not ready to introduce any yarn brand until I'm completely done with my Hobby Toucan, and I feel I still have around 100 skeins in all the other colors left. But this is the color that I will have to replenish in any different yarn brands. So yes, because I feel like Eevee will be selling, and I do have some other plushies that I'm making in this color a lot. So yeah, this is my Eevee. Then we have Umbreon. They're all floppy because they are all splitting and sitting. Umbreon wasn't a lot of work. I mean, it is just slightly color changes, and then you have those circles that you make separately, and then you just sew them on. So out of all 3 of them, Umbreon was the least work, but I still love the way she looks. I love her eyes, and yeah, she is amazing. And then last but not least is Espion, and she was, I can't say if she was more work than Eevee, because Eevee has that fur around the neck and Espion has a lot of parts to her ears. She has dot that you're sewing on separately, and she has 2 parts to her tail. Nothing hard, nothing major. I would definitely recommend all of these patterns. Same with any other splitting animals. All these body parts are crocheted in. You are sewing the head on, but you're only having like, I don't know, 6 or 8 stitches to go straight sewing, and that is the only sewing you have. But with her you also have to sew ears on. Same with the Eevee. Their ears are sewn on, but nothing big, nothing I wouldn't do. I don't mind sewing. I actually don't even mind sewing with chenille yarn. If you have ever worked with Hobby Toucans, like any chenille yarn, it sheds, of course it sheds, and sewing can be challenging, but there are techniques how to make your life easier if you're sewing. So yeah, I'm just not gonna talk about that because I don't have time for that. But yeah, I love all three of them, and that is it when it comes to all of them. They are all gonna be available on my future markets, which if you have followed me for the last year, I never announce where my markets are just because I like to keep my privacy and safety. Usually by the time you're watching my market prep, my market is already happening, and by the time you're watching my recap, market already happened a couple of weeks before, just because I don't know, I just don't like to share where am I, and it's the privacy and safety, nothing else. And I will continue the same thing for the next year. The only market last year that I announced was Supernova because it was something big and it was very expensive market for people to get in, so I kind of felt safe announcing that market, but nothing else I will announce for the next year. I'm yet to see if my uni markets will go on, so all of these plushies will be available for my markets and conventions, and I will be back to building my website. If you remember, I started my website back in May, June, and then Supernova happened and I sold 80% of my stock, which was overwhelming. If you have watched that video, I did over $7,000 just on that market, and I was very overwhelmed. I actually took 2 months off after that market, how overwhelmed I was, and I shut down my website. So yeah, it was just a bit overwhelming to make sure that my inventory matches between Square and Shopify. I just shut down my Shopify website, and I will go back on building it during these summer holidays. I'm not sure if it's going to be open by February. I'm yet to decide. So once I open my website, all of these plushies will be available on my website too. And I will try to keep up with everything. As I'm publishing my videos, I will also try to make that all my plushies are at the same time on my website. So that is just the plan for the next year. I am not sure if I will go back on Etsy. Etsy is very bad. Most of the sales from Etsy were sales that were driven by me, so why would I drive my sales to Etsy for Etsy to take between 20 and 30%? I would rather drive my sales to my website and offer 20 to 30% cheaper prices on my plushies rather than for you guys to pay Etsy, because essentially you guys are paying Etsy fees because us sellers are putting our prices up for the amount of money that Etsy is taking. That's why I don't think I will go on Etsy. I will try and push my website a bit more, and for the next year I'm definitely doing even less markets. Like I talked about this last year. The year before I had over 70 markets in a year. I was working every Saturday and Sunday, occasionally Friday, except for some winter months, and it was a lot. It was very exhausting and overwhelming. I wasn't crocheting at a time, I was sewing. So sewing is something that I could have managed and it was easier to keep my items in stock. But since doing plushies, it is simply not manageable. And I have also noticed that anytime I turn my hobby into business, I lose passion for it. And unfortunately, that has been happening with sewing and crocheting and even embroidery. I have not touched my embroidery for the past 6 months since Supernova. And my plans for 2026 are definitely gonna be less business orientated and more hobby focused. I wanna do all my crafts for the joy, for hobby, not for business. And I know I'm privileged and fortunate that I don't have to provide for my family, that my husband is the breadwinner of this family and he's providing everything, and my business is just my business money and my hobby money. And I know I am grateful that I don't have to push this as a business. That's why I wanna be happy with what I'm doing instead of market prepping constantly every week, every weekend, just so I can earn more and more when I don't have to do that. That's why my goal for 2026 is gonna be make less, but make things that I actually enjoy making and not pumping those small tiny plushies that I think are gonna sell at the markets. I will focus more on some medium and bigger makes. I will of course have some smaller plushies. I don't want them to be my priority if I don't feel like making them. And for the same reason, I will probably lower my prices because I don't want to look at this from the business perspective. I'm gonna look at it from more hobby perspective. And for the same reasons, I'm having a lot less markets. I'm gonna be stuck with a lot of plushie if I don't do markets and keep crocheting at the speed that I'm crocheting. So I will definitely lower my prices and charge less my hourly wage. At the moment, I'm charging $25 per hour. So I'm thinking we're lowering that between 15 and 20, just because I would rather my stock have a bigger turnaround than sitting in my house. There are just the plans for my next year. Definitely less markets and definitely crochet makes that bring joy to me and that I actually have fun making. For the same reason, I'm just gonna reveal my last Pokemon. For example, this Pokemon is something that I'm definitely not gonna market prep. If I make it, it's gonna be amazing. Whoever gets to buy any of these Pokemon probably will know it's one of a kind, because I can only make maybe 2 or 3 of them a year, just because how time consuming plushies like these are. Same for example with my Pyre. If you have watched my Supernova, then you know I made one of my biggest plushies ever, and I sold that plushie for $250, and I was never in a rush to sell it. I wanted that plush to be my showstopper, something that will attract people to my stall. He was giant, he was massive, he was over 1 kilo with yarn and polyfill, and I honestly didn't expect him to sell. That's why I priced him so expensive, but someone actually appreciated all that work and he was sold at Supernova, and I was grateful. Do I want to make another one of Pyres? I don't see myself making another one of Pyres because he was actually one of a kind, and any plushie that I make that size, it's actually gonna be one of a kind. Thinking about that now, do I even wanna make anything that big? I'm not sure. I feel like I was lucky I sold him at that market, but at the same time, if I had more of them, would I sell them? I don't know. It's like, it's something you will never know, and I'm not seeing myself making anything that big and that expensive in this year probably. When it comes to my special bonus Pokemon, she is one and done, and she is not gonna be up for sale. This is my Sylvian. She was a lot of work just for the size she is very small. When you look at her, she's very small, but her bows and bow tails were actually a lot of work. I'm just gonna put the pattern designer on the screen because it is a German and I don't want to butcher it, even though I do speak German, but I haven't spoken German for the past 30 years, so I don't want to butcher. This is a free pattern off Instagram. I have mixed feelings about this. Let me show you first up close. Her eyes are a bit pale. You can see here, they change to a blue on a certain angle, but from the most of the part she looks wide-eyed, and you can see only under some angles she is blue, but that is fine. She is not gonna be up for sale. She is my daughter's. My daughter said that I can sell the smaller ones because she first claimed the smaller one, but now she has decided she will take this one and I will be selling the smaller one. Let's talk about this pattern and why I don't want to make this to be sold. So she is a free pattern, and I'm not sure if this pattern designer is new designer. I actually looked at her Etsy and there are not a lot of designs up there, so I just couldn't figure out how much experience she has. The top part around the head, the bows and the bow tails and even the tail, all of that I have zero complaints. You have to be aware that this is full on sewing. This is a lot of sewing, and I'm fine with that. I have never issues with sewing with chenille yarn. My biggest problem was the legs and the body and the way this part is constructed. If you have ever done any standing animal from Crochet Grove or Snuggle Beans Crochet, she has standing dragons and things like that, you would know how to construct legs and the body, but this was completely different. You first make 3 legs, and then for the 4th leg you still have your yarn attached, and then you're just connecting them with chains. And she doesn't even tell you where to connect. She just says make sure that they are all facing the same way and that they are not twisted or anything like that, and you're essentially connecting them in a big messy chain. From there you're starting to crochet upwards. At some point when you reached here, she just says fasten off, and I was like, are we done? Okay, what's next? Let's see what's next. Then she wants you to go back and technically pick up stitches. I know that's a knitting term, but technically you're just picking up stitches again and crocheting the bottom part when you are actually doing some decreases until you have, I don't know, it's a free pattern so I can talk the numbers, I think 16, and then you're left with both ends open and sewing needle. You essentially have to sew this close, put a polyfill in, and sew the top close. And that was like, oh, this is not gonna look right. I mean, it's not the worst, but I wouldn't sell this. Because I'm perfectionist and I know there is a better way to do standing plushies. There is a better way, but I just didn't want to experiment. I just want to go with the pattern. If I ever do this again, I will probably do it different, but I just want to go with the pattern and see how it works. And I wasn't happy. In the end, you get a very pointy end here and a very pointy end here with the sewing. It just looks like croissant, and it just wasn't right for me. When everything was done with legs and body, I was so disappointed with the way that looked that I was like, I can't sell this. I don't like the way this looks. I just can't sell this. I'm just gonna continue it since I'm almost half done, half through. I'm just gonna continue it and give it to my daughter. By the time you're building up, so you're doing head cap. Also another reason I'm not happy with head and head cap, which because of all the bells and whistles she has, you actually cannot see, but her cap is very pointy. And the reason this is happening is because she does 6 in a magic ring for head and for head cap. If you have ever worked any sphere, you know that you won't get sphere unless you go 8 single crochet in a magic ring, because 8 single crochet gives you the perfect shape sphere with the perfect increases, while if you go with 6, your top will start pointing and you will never get a perfect round sphere. And that's exactly what's happening with this pattern. Luckily, she has a lot going on and I could mask those imperfections, but I can tell that she is still pointy here and I wasn't happy about it. So my next thing would be increase the head to 8. That's fine. Second, bows. I'm not too happy with the way this bows looks. I made so many bows in my life, crochet bows, so I know there is a better way to do bows, so I'm just not happy with the way these bows look. Bow tails are fine. Actually, these were much easier than the smaller version that I did, just because it's chenille yarn, so it's not poking out, and I could actually crochet over tail ends and secure them and then burn them, and then I'm sure they're not moving anywhere. So no issues with bow tails. Tail was fine. This is the crocheted in part and this is just nothing special. Tail. Same with ears. There is some color changes to the ears. Nothing special, easy. Cap, I mean, I know she made a cap because to figure out color changes is probably not easy, and it's cleaner. It's definitely cleaner with a cap, like a shower cap. So yeah, I'm fine with that. Cap wasn't an issue for me. But overall, I'm not super happy with this pattern, but I can't fault it. It's free. I mean, someone put so much effort to give us this for free, so I can't blame her. I don't know how experienced crocheter is. I mean, let's face it, I've been crocheting for 15 years and I'm not sure if I would be able to pattern write these, because I'm just not someone who is capable of pattern writing, because I cannot visualize. I'm very much a rule follower. You give me a pattern, you tell me what I need to do, and I will execute it. But for me to visualize, I just can't do that. It's my brain is like more math and logic, not creative and artsy. So yeah, it's just how my brain works. So I wouldn't be able to create something like this without the pattern. So I admire this pattern designer to even trying and offering this as a free pattern. But if I were to make this, I will definitely look into other patterns that I already made and I know how to make, just to go for the better option for like standing animals and things like that. Overall, she is beautiful, guys. I can't fault her. She is amazing. She is standing. My daughter was amazed when she saw her. So at the moment, I don't see myself creating another one of these unless I find a better pattern. I haven't searched. If I find a better pattern, I will probably make another one, or if I ever have time to recreate my own from other different patterns, we'll see. So yeah, technically that is it. This is my bonus pattern. I decided to make her just because my daughter requested one of the Sylvians, and I know a lot of people at my markets have asked for Sylvian. She is a lot of work, she is amazing, but she is one and done at this point. And technically that is all. These are all the Pokemons that I have done during the Vlogmas. So we had 17 from Beck's Made Studio, 3 from Snugglebean's Crochet, and 1 bonus was Sylvian. So that is 21 Pokemons in 24 days. Not too bad. I know 21 plushie in 24 days is not a lot, but at the same time I was also knitting a lot and crocheting some different projects, working on a charity blanket and things like that. So overall I'm happy with everything that I have achieved during Vlogmas. I enjoyed making Vlogmas so much that I'm looking forward to do it next year. I would probably be more organized and prepared and have an advent calendar that I will enjoy opening, and that's it. That's the wrap up of this December and my plushie makes for the December. Next year I do plan on being consistent with my weekly makes videos, and I am looking forward to share all my new plushie makes. I bought so many new patterns during Black Friday sale, and I am looking forward to share all of them with you. With all of that, I wish you Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I wish you all the best. Stay safe, enjoy your holidays, and until next year, happy crafting!